What is up? It's Crusade, and today I'm going to be talking about the most recent patch that more or less put a stop to all the window cheesing going on, reducing the amount of windows and vault spots that are on maps. Also going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming patch that the devs have been talking about in their most recent Q&A, and the meta shift that is going to occur from these patches. So window cheesing is much less effective now, especially, if you look at the cow sacrifice tree in the farm map, there's a huge wall there now that just really blocks line of sight, so you can't sit there and camp the window because you don't know which way the killer's going to come from and he can get a hit on you. So all you can really do with that spot now is jump through the window and run away from that spot as soon as possible. So window cheesing, much less effective, actually more or less extinguished, I would say now. Maybe there's a few spots that you can find where it's kind of viable, but it's definitely not viable all the time at all. So what this means, to the meta at least, is that informational perks are going to be a much bigger of a deal because it is now a stealth game, right? I mean, it's always been a stealth game, of course, but more so now than ever. So any sort of perk that gives you information, whether it's survivor information about where the killer is or the killer giving you information where the survivors are, those are indirectly buffed by this patch. So Spies from the Shadows, huge buff, honestly, because once you find a survivor and you start chasing them down and start burning through pallets, and once they run out of pallets, you're going to start getting hits just so long as you start finding survivors. But again, it's more on the stealth thing, so it's on survivors to not get found at all. And there's also an indirect buff, really big buff to the perks involving pallets for the killer, so Brutal Strength indirectly buffed, as well as Enduring. Brutal Strength is actually going to get a direct buff in the upcoming patch, so Brutal Strength is definitely going to be a perk to look out for coming up here. I mean, even now it's good, but when it gets buffed again, it's going to be something that I'm going to be running with all the time. And then Enduring, 75% reduced time when you're stunned. This is really insane because it's going to allow you to pallet dive a lot more and put a lot more pressure on the survivor that you're chasing. Because with the way it used to be that the killer was on a timer, you try and get survivors down before they can finish all the generators. Now it's more like a race. It's generators versus pallets, who runs out first. And Enduring is just going to allow you maybe to get some free damage in if you start getting aggressive with pallet diving. Of course, you can bait maybe like the first pallet, be really passive on the bait, and then that'll condition the survivor that you're chasing to say, okay, he's probably not going to chase me right through this pallet, so I'll just wait. So on the second pallet, you can just pallet dive him. Maybe he won't expect it and you can get a hit in. But the consequence for pallet diving is going to be, much less significant, so you can start doing that more often. And of course, you pair that with Brutal Strength. Pallets are just not going to be as effective, and when you're chasing someone, pallets are the main go-to thing now. Especially, when you're really close to them and you get to a pallet, it saves them. But if they just get to a window, it doesn't save them because it takes so long for them to hop through the window that you can still get a hit in. So there's that, and again, like I said, stealth. So I'm going to be showing a few games here, and I'm going to be showing a game that was where we actually use the fog mechanics, the murky reagent, and I believe the New Moon Bouquet. So using these items are also a little bit empowered because they reduce visibility and make the stealth game a little bit easier. So I'm going to be showing you that, and how to, remain in a sustained chase without that window cheesing. these games are before the patch, but none of the window cheese spots are even utilized, I don't think. It's mostly just pallets, and remaining focused enough and paying attention to where the killer is so you can stay one step ahead and not get hit. Alright, so let's get in that first game here. Alright, so for this first game here, I'm going to be talking about sustained chase. And the reason why I want to talk about this and why it's significant is because, I mean, when you're first starting off, everyone's in stealth, essentially. So the killer is spending his time looking for you, and you want to, when you're first starting off, everyone wants to play really slow and careful so that you don't get caught, because anytime that the killer is spent not chasing and breaking pallets, it's just like, it's extra like bonus time that you have, right? Because like I said before, it's a race now. And so any little head start that you can get is really going to help your team out. But once someone gets found and they're chasing, the killer's chasing someone, it's really hard to break off, and you can't really rely on being able to 100% get away. So you need to be able to survive like a really sustained, drawn out chase. And of course it's ideal for someone with like sprint burst or self-care to be getting chased, or someone who, you know, like myself, you know, knows a little bit what they're doing. Of course, Meg has always been built around the idea that she's sort of like the distraction, you know, with sprint burst and whatnot, so she can tease the killer a little bit and then just sprint away or whatever. So each character is built for a certain role, and so Meg is the best for this. But we get a couple generators up pretty quick, and of course that helps him find out where we're at. And the chase begins a little bit here. Of course he baits that pallet because he doesn't have brutal strength or enduring. He just stands there, but I don't want to be too risky, so it buys me a couple extra seconds to just stand there, but you do want to try to hang on to these pallets as much as you can. You know, I'm going from pallet to pallet because it's really the only way to survive being chased. And of course I walk around and there's a lot of line of sight in here, so it's really hard for the killer to keep track of you. And it's also in the center of the map, so I can run in any direction. Of course you don't want to try and limit yourself to a corner of the map and corner yourself, because then it's pretty easy for the killer. He knows he can just look in one direction and find you pretty easy. Whereas if you're in the center of the map like this, he doesn't really know which way to look. You know, he has to keep a 360 visual.
I like grass. I love lamb.
Putting in burning through pallets here. And he is chasing my teammate a little bit here. And if you're a guy that getting chased, I mean, if someone's getting chased, it's really good to be on a voice communication program to let the other players know that you're being chased and they have free reign over the map. But once the person getting chased gets injured, you really want to try and either switch the focus to another player and get them healed up, or have them lose. I mean, if you're injured, you can't really lose the killer because you can just follow your blood and you can listen for your grunts. So it's much less likely that you'll get away once you're injured. So you really need someone to step up and try and take the attention away, and the killer really has to make the decision to switch to you. And one of the ways that you can do it is by just getting on a generator near him, like I am right there, because getting on a generator makes a loud noise. And the killer's main priority is to make sure that the survivors don't get any generators up. So that is like one of the main things that'll make a killer switch to you, is just being on a generator very aggressively near him. And of course, you know, my teammate got away because the killer looked away and really wanted to get me off that generator, and it allowed for my injured teammate to escape. Now, a lot of the things that people do is once the distraction member of the team gets injured, they kind of just let him continue to get chased, and that is an incorrect thing to do. You really have to be, I guess, bold and really step up and take the heat off of him. And I know no player, most players, especially in solo queue lobbies, they don't like to do that because, they don't want to intentionally put themselves into harm's way, because they know that if they're the one getting chased, then they could go down. But I mean, if you do want to get everyone out of there, if you're playing Survive with Friends, this is definitely something that you want to do in order to keep everyone alive. And the more players that are alive, the longer it's just gonna increase your survivability chances here. And okay, this pallet right here is pretty tricky because that rock is so big you can't really see him coming around that corner except for the red light. And I was jumping across the pallet. If the killer doesn't break the pallet right away, definitely try to abuse the pallet as much as you can, because he can just walk up and break it. So it's a mistake from him if he just allows you to do that. Of course, be aware of the pallet inside the front of the bus as I'm climbing in here. This pallet here. There's certain pallet spots that you can't just sit there and go back and forth from. Because the distance around the pallet is so short, so make sure that you jump back and forth on a pallet that allows you to do it. Teammate gets picked up, and I take a hit to try and buy my teammate time to wiggle. But yeah, my teammate informed me that he had Iron Grasp, so it's kind of useless.
Why did you drop me? Just pick me up, you dick.
Because there's a hook pretty close by. But we're gonna hide nearby. We got this exit gate open, so if we can get him off this hook, there's a pretty good chance he can get away. So we're gonna stick it. Plus, we also know that he doesn't have no one escapes death. Is he chasing that guy? Can't see.
No, he just can't.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of survivors running around, so he just walks by here, running behind him. He's distracted, and he goes for me, which is good. He's on cooldown. And we're all just gonna run out of here. So more or less pretty good stuff, making it out, everyone alive, and that's gonna wrap up this game. Gonna jump into the next game here, where we use the Murky Reagent and New Moon Bouquet to try to be a bit more stealthy. Try to be. I'm usually end up being the person that's a distraction or being chased. Alright, so begin, as we're gonna see here, stacking a couple of Murky Reagents with a New Moon Bouquet. And I'm not sure the Murky Reagents, like, what the cap is on the fog and what it takes to cap it out. Because I know there is a cap, I just don't know what that cap is. But we used 2 Murky Reagents just to make sure that we did hit that cap. And of course the New Moon Bouquet to also decrease visibility a little bit. And the purpose of this is, well, one, to just use the offerings because we have them. Of course, stacking them is going to make them more effective, hopefully. And this will hopefully make it easier to just get away from the killer and just remain in stealth. That is the idea, anyway. So, starting off, again, as I said in the first game, you do want to actually be much more careful. He's not currently chasing anyone. Also, another thing is that you could do is, once you spawn on the map, you want to probably try and walk to the other side of the map, because the killer's going to do the same thing, because he knows you spawned probably on the other side of the map. And yeah, see, he found us pretty fast because he knew to just beeline it across the map. So you could maybe not beeline it, but walk on the edge and just be where he spawned and kind of do a position change there. But, he's chasing a teammate, so we are going to get on generator. And, of course, not much stealth going on there, because we weren't really being stealthy. Definitely something that everyone's going to need to work on in this patch. And of course my teammate is being chased and he's injured, so it'd really be ideal for one of us to, be chased in his spot, but I'm not really sure where he's at. But I don't think I also make the decision to actually step in for him, like we don't plan anything. But he does end up hearing my generator and walking to that pallet. And of course he's gonna bait this one.
Foggy, huh?
I'll bet. Some damn kid smoking that pot.
Oh my god. My god, it's like a Cypress Hill concert in here.
Swung a little early there, but I do throw down the pallet just in case we don't want to get hit by some random pallet dive attempt. As you get more confident with pallets, maybe you could bait it a little more. But it's really, you don't really know what the killer's going to do, so I just try to play it safe. Buying just those 1 or 2 extra seconds is good enough, in my opinion. And so, we lose him pretty easily, just walking around. Gonna go ahead and get back on this generator. Teammate's got another generator up, everyone's healed, so... Killer is having a tough time chasing people down. Of course we spot him there as he's chasing another teammate. He's bouncing between survivors a lot because he keeps losing whoever he's chasing, so this Murky Reagent and New Moon Bouquets, I mean, it seems to be working pretty well, more or less. It does help the Wraith a little bit because of his stealth ability. It could also help the Trapper quite a bit because you can't see his traps as well. Probably doesn't help the Hillbilly too much. But again, with the new patch, the Wraith and Hillbilly are empowered quite a bit, and I would say that the Hillbilly is pretty much up there with the Trapper now. Wraith is still a little lackluster, but it's definitely viable. And all the killers are in a pretty decent spot, especially right now. Also haven't talked about No One Escapes Death 3, which is incredibly powerful right now, but they're going to be nerfing it in the upcoming patch. They talked about it. They're thinking about putting the one-hit down mechanic on a timer, so that once the exit gates are powered, he only has, I don't know how long it's going to be, they haven't said anything about that, but it could be, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that. But the point is that it will eventually run out. It's not infinite. And it'll pretty much force you to pair it with Bitter Murmur, which is pretty good.
Mine's almost done.
Okay. And teammate got injured, so find each other and just gonna heal him up. I believe the other teammate here ends up going down. I'm going to spend some time trying to save him. But this Wraith hasn't really gotten a lot done, and it's pretty much impossible to evaluate this. But as we try to rescue this teammate, and he gets hooked in the basement, and we're going to leave this generator at 99% just in case he has No Escapes Death 3, because we don't want to get one hit downed while trying to rescue him. But I really think these offerings kind of shake his confidence a little bit, in the sense that he doesn't really want to leave this hooked player that he actually got, and I accidentally run into the killer there, but luckily there's still plenty of pallets, especially on Auto Haven. Derek, if you want to go for it. No, he broke off. But yeah, he's not really down to commit to a chase, maybe because he doesn't feel like he's going to be able to actually get anyone down, so he'd rather just stick to this player that he does have.
He's chasing me.
And so he's not going to get greedy or anything, although we are definitely trying to get greedy here by saving this guy. And I mess up my pallet with the mistake. If you've watched my gameplay number 14, common mistake. I was too focused and I just wasn't thinking and didn't stop before I hit spacebar to drop that pallet, so I got hit for it.
Want me to pop them?
Not yet. But I do want to heal myself before I try to go back in for this rescue. So get like right next to it. Run into him a little bit, so try to run distraction here, so maybe one of my teammates can get it, but there's not enough time. So I do a little juke there, and my plan here is to unhook and take the hit for my teammate. So he's going left and he jukes me, and I couldn't see behind me, so I didn't know where my teammate was. So he ends up getting the hit on my teammate. So he's downed in the basement, and of course once he gets hooked again, he's instantly sacrificed. So we're just gonna go ahead and get out of there and go for the exit gate. We tried. Obviously it could have gone better, but he was sticking to that basement pretty well. And of course the basement is pretty hard to unhook because, I mean, once you get unhooked, there's that choke point. So if you get hooked in the basement, don't really expect too much. Although that was pretty close. If I would have took that hit, we might have been able to get him out of there. But the three of us make it out, so not a bad game overall. So how effective did we feel those offerings were there?
Extremely effective.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, but I'm going to go ahead and get in one more game here, and this game is going to focus on what to do when things start getting really bad, and also I'm going to show you a very fundamental and important juke that you can do once you vault through a window. I'll pause the video at that precise moment so that I could really emphasize and show you guys, you know, exactly what this little juke is, how it works, and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get in that game. Alright, so the first half of this game is actually going to be pretty clean, and it's mostly just going to be me working on some generators. So I guess I can talk about the meta shift a little bit more. As I said in the beginning of this video, the informational perks are going to be empowered. I already mentioned Spies from the Shadows, but even stuff like Premonition and Spine Chill aren't going to be... I mean, they're still pretty good right now, but they're going to be even better. And, of course, Whispers on the Killer is going to be better, because, I mean, it's going to help you a little bit know where the survivors are, especially if it goes down to like a 1 vs 1 or 1 vs 2. You can sit like next to a trapdoor or something, and if you hear whispers while you're near a trapdoor, you know to just sit near that trapdoor, and once the whispers fade, then you know you can either trap the trapdoor or just run around and start looking for the survivors. And this is also gonna make, what is it called, the one perk with Jake that makes it so he doesn't disturb crows. I forget what it's called, but that might be actually good if killers start running Spies from the Shadows a lot more often, which they might, so be on the lookout for that. If it's like a thing where a majority of the killers are running Spies from the Shadows, that perk might actually become a thing, because crows, they're everywhere, and you don't even have to be that close to disturb them. And right here, you know, I was trying to distract the killer with that generator, but I was hoping he would break off before he downed my teammate there, but he downed him first. So I probably should have started running away sooner, or at least waited till he picked him up and then got on the generator. So my ordering was a little wrong there, because if I get on the generator after he picks him up, then he'll probably hear it, and then he'll be inclined to either drop my teammate, or I was hoping maybe he'd walk over there and try to hit me while my teammate was on his back, but usually killers aren't that dumb. What? It's already open? But we already got the exit gates powered, which is insanely good. So I go up on the hill, and you see him like try to cut me off there, so I was going to stay on the hill. So again, definitely keep your eye on the killer there. Dropping pallets, of course. Try to buy time for teammate to rescue my teammate. And we're on this really easy map. This is before the patch, obviously. All 3 Windows vaults are there. But I mean, I'm not gonna abuse it at all, really. I just wanted to get through there and see what was going on, and didn't realize it. This is also fixed, but the trapper double trapped that hook, and it just completely demolished my team here. All 3 teammates downed, And the thing is, when you're in a situation like this, you don't want to panic and just run away and freak out. I mean, he hooks that player, so you definitely want to prioritize hooked players first, absolutely, because it's so fast to get a player unhooked versus to heal a player that's dying. So he's walking away with that player there. Of course, I'm going to unhook this guy. And what we should do is we both should be healing this guy right now, but it's my other teammate, you know, he's scared. He wants to get out of there. But we should both definitely be healing this other teammate so we can get him up as soon as possible. But I burned my med kit a little bit there to do that, and I could get them fully healed, but he has no one escape step 3. I'm actually assuming he has it, and we end up finding out that he has it later, but I'm definitely prioritizing opening this door first as opposed to healing up my teammates more, because getting that open is incredibly important, and to get it open just in time. And my other teammate messages me, informs me that he got double trapped as well, which again you can't do anymore. So I'm crouching through the grass there to make sure I don't run into a trap, that maybe one of the traps is in the grass. And I hear heartbeats, so I thought maybe he's coming for me, but he's actually hooking another teammate who gets instantly sacrificed. And I'm trying to get the disarm prompt and go for it, but of course he's going to check up on this guy. And I walk to that pallet because I'm trying to save sprint burst, because I've iterated many times. So I want to save it till last second, and right there I start to burn it. And I walk behind this hill. And if you're in this situation, definitely be on the lookout. Batman, trapper there. And I froze the frame here because, yeah, I make it through this window, and here's the fundamental thing that I really wanted to talk about. It's really incredibly important when it comes to juking and buying you time, getting away from the killer and whatnot, and getting the maximum effectiveness out of these window vaults. Okay, so on this frame here, the killer has complete eyes on me. He knows exactly what I'm doing, and so he can get, you know, just information on me. And so what I want to do is I want to give him false information. And what I do is I'm going to go ahead at just a few frames, and by giving him false information, I move to the right here, out of line of sight. And as you can see, you know, I'm just behind the wall, and so he knows I went to, you know, his left side here, behind this wall. So of course what he's going to do is try and cut me off, because he saw me sprint over here. So you're going to see him turn and take that information. You know, we saw him turn. I'm keeping an eye on him, making sure that he followed through with that cutoff. And of course you can see me, I just start to sprint the other way, because I gave him that false information. I don't want to get cut off, obviously. And I just continue to run the opposite direction. And of course he catches on quite quickly, because he's not fooled that easily, but it does buy us some time to get out of there, and you know he ends up chasing a teammate out. So I'm the last one alive. I can't run past him because I know no one escapes death 3 is up, and so I want to pull him away. What I'm doing is I'm pulling him away from the exit, and I want to run for it, but he's going to cut me off again, so I'm really safe in this hallway here because of the pallet, the window vault. There's only one entrance right now, so I just have to keep my eye on the entrance. And of course he comes for me through there. And he's going to come around through here. I saw the red light, so I jumped through there. He's going to break that pallet, so and my sprint burst comes up at the same time, so that's a perfect time for me to just bolt out of there and end up making it out of that map. So that's that game. Again, a lot going on in those final moments, but incredibly important moments to be sure, especially with that no one escapes death 3. You don't want to make a mistake because it's going to cost you. Rank 1 killer. Played very well, but we were able to make it out of there. Alright, so that's that. Hopefully you learned something from this video, hopefully multiple things. As the patch has made a pretty big change to the way survivors are going to be playing this game. The footage for this video actually wasn't during the patch 1.0.4. However, I didn't really utilize Windows too much, so I figured it was okay. And plus I didn't want to spend more time getting footage. But anyway, we'll see how this meta shift goes. Again, they're going to be rebalancing some of the killer perks, so we're going to see how that affects the killer. I have my predictions, and again, I think it's going to be more of a stealth and informational game and more of a race as opposed to the killer being on a timer. And this is really how it should be. The devs have more or less done a decent job at, you know, fixing up their game, because now a lot more things are viable. More or less all the killers are viable now, and the game is overall more fun. But that is all for now, and I hope everyone has a good day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh my god! Whoa! I'm free falling, baby!
What is going on?
Oh wow.
He hasn't escaped yet. Perfect hiding spot.
Could see the map off in the distance.
Just spinning.
Oh, oh.
Break it down,
Wait.
dude.
It's just tubular, dude.